Have you ever wondered what it would be like to buy your dream home, only to find out it's a living nightmare? Well, settle in, because tonight we re-diving into the chilling story of the Asher family and the house on Hemlock Lane. This isn't just a haunted house story. It's a descent into madness that will make you think twice before you ever sign those mortgage papers. It all started when Tom and Sarah Asher found the perfect house. It was a beautiful Victorian home, a little run down, sure, but it had character. It was nestled at the end of a quiet street, surrounded by ancient, sprawling oak trees. It was their forever home, or so they thought. They moved in with their two kids, 10-year-old Lily and 7-year-old Sam. For the first week, everything was idyllic. The kids loved exploring the massive backyard, and Sarah spent her days painting the walls, bringing new life into the old structure. Tom was just happy to see his family so content. But then, the strange thing started. It began subtly. A door creaking open on its own. A cold spot in the hallway that never seemed to warm up. They brushed it off as the quirks of an old house. You know how it is. Old houses settle, they make noises. It's normal, right? Sam was the first one to really notice something was wrong. He started talking about his new friend, a little boy named Thomas who lived in the walls. At first, Tom and Sarah thought it was just an imaginary friend, a common thing for a kid his age adjusting to a new home. Sam would have long, one-sided conversations in his room, laughing and playing. But his descriptions of Thomas were oddly specific. He said Thomas wore old-fashioned clothes and was always sad because he couldn't find his mother. Then Lily started having nightmares. Every night, she'd wake up screaming, talking about a woman in a long, dark dress who would stand at the foot of her bed, just watching her. The woman never spoke, never moved, just stared with empty, sorrowful eyes. Sarah tried everything to comfort her: night lights, warm milk, stories. But the nightmares persisted, growing more intense each night. One evening, while Tom was in the basement trying to fix a leaky pipe, he found something. Tucked away behind a loose brick in the foundation was a small, dusty wooden box. His curiosity got the better of him. Inside, he found a collection of old, sepia-toned photographs and a small, leather-bound diary. The photos were of a family that must have lived in the house a long, long time ago. A stern-looking man, a woman with a haunted expression, and a young boy. On the back of the boy's photo, a name was written in faded ink: Thomas. Tom's blood ran cold. He opened the diary. It belonged to the woman in the photograph, whose name was Eleanor. Her entries started out happy, filled with love for her new home and her son, Thomas. But the tone quickly shifted. She wrote about the house feeling wrong. She described strange noises, whispers in the walls, and a feeling of being constantly watched. Her husband, a pragmatic man, dismissed her fears as hysteria. Then came the entries about Thomas. He had started talking to an imaginary friend too. A man he called the tall man. Eleanor grew terrified. Her son began to change. He became withdrawn, fearful, and would spend hours talking to the empty corners of his room. The last few entries in the diary were frantic, almost illegible. Eleanor wrote that the house wanted her son. It was trying to take him. The final entry was just a single, chilling sentence. He took him. The tall man took my Thomas. And then, nothing. The rest of the diary was blank. That night, things escalated. The subtle whispers became clear voices. The family would hear their names being called from empty rooms. Objects would move on their own. A cup sliding across the counter, a book flying off a shelf. The cold spot in the hallway became an icy vortex, and sometimes, in the corner of their eyes, they'd see a fleeting shadow, a tall, distorted figure. Sarah was trying to put the kids to bed when Sam pointed to the corner of his room and said, "Look, Mommy, the tall man is here. He wants to play." Sarah's heart stopped. There was nothing there, but the air was thick with a palpable sense of dread. She grabbed both kids and ran downstairs, screaming for Tom. When she told him what Sam had said, Tom showed her the diary. It all clicked into place. The boy in the walls, Thomas. The woman in Lily's dreams, his mother Eleanor. And now, the tall man. They weren't just living in a haunted house. They were living in someone else's tragedy, a tragedy that was threatening to repeat itself. They decided they had to leave. That very night, they started frantically packing, throwing clothes and essentials into bags. But the house didn't want them to go. The doors slammed shut, the windows rattled violently in their frames, and a deep, guttural growl seemed to emanate from the very walls around them. The lights flickered and died, plunging them into darkness. In the terrifying dark, they could hear it. A slow, heavy footstep, like someone dragging their feet, coming from the floor above. It was the tall man. Panic set in. Tom fumbled for his phone, its flashlight cutting a weak beam through the oppressive black. They huddled together in the living room, the sound of the footsteps getting closer, closer, until they were right outside the door. Silence. An awful, deafening silence. Then, a slow, deliberate creak as the living room door began to open. Tom stood in front of his family, holding a heavy fireplace poker, his hands trembling. The door swung open to reveal a figure that would haunt their nightmares forever. It was impossibly tall and gaunt, its limbs elongated and twisted at unnatural angles. It wore a tattered old suit, but its face was a blank canvas of smooth skin, devoid of any features. No eyes, no nose, no mouth. Just a terrifying, empty void. The creature tilted its featureless head, and a voice echoed not from the creature itself, but from all around them, a chorus of whispers that seemed to claw at their minds. "Give me the boy." Suddenly, from the top of the stairs, a faint, shimmering figure appeared. It was a woman in a long, dark dress. Eleanor. She drifted down the stairs, her form translucent, her eyes fixed on the tall man. She raised a spectral hand, and a wave of cold energy slammed into the creature, pushing it back. "Leave my house," she whispered, her voice a sorrowful echo. "You will not take another." A battle between spirits erupted in the living room. The tall man thrashed and lunged, its shadowy form distorting the very air around it, while Eleanor's ghost fought back with a desperate, protective fury. The house groaned and shuddered. Pictures fell from the walls, and furniture toppled over. Tom saw their chance. "Now," he yelled. He grabbed the kids, Sarah grabbed the bags, and they bolted for the back door. They burst out into the cool night air, not stopping, not looking back. They ran down Hemlock Lane as fast as their legs could carry them, the sounds of the spectral battle fading behind them. They didn't stop running until the flashing lights of a police car they had flagged down illuminated their terrified faces. The Asher family never went back. They left everything behind: their clothes, their furniture, their memories, their dream home. The house on Hemlock Lane still stands today, silent and dark. Locals say that on quiet nights, you can still hear the faint sounds of a woman weeping and a little boy playing. They say Eleanor is still there, forever guarding the house against the entity that took her son, a lonely sentinel trapped in a battle that will never end. A warning to anyone who dares to cross the threshold. So what do you think? Was the tall man a demon? The vengeful spirit of a previous owner? Or was it the house itself, a malevolent consciousness with a hunger for the innocent? Let me know your theories in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this dive into the darkness, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe for more terrifying tales. Thanks for watching, and try to sleep well tonight.